All right, call the meeting to order at 4 o'clock. This meeting may be viewed at the district's website at www.twentyninepoundwater.net. The board reserves the right to discuss only or take action on any item on the agenda. Cindy, roll call vote, please.
Director Arthur?
Here.
Director Bowden?
Here.
Director Cockle?
Here.
Director Leisure?
Here.
Director Woods? Here.
Okay. Pledge of Allegiance. Steve, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, please, sir? Sure.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve. Public comments. Please complete a request to be heard form prior to the start of the meeting. The public may address the board for 3 minutes on district-related matters. Government code prohibits the board from taking action on matters that are not on the agenda. However, the board may refer matters for future consideration. Are there any public comments?
There are none.
Okay. So, item number 1 on our agenda is a public hearing. It takes a motion and a second to open the meeting for a public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
So now we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote for that, please, Cindy?
We don't need a roll.
Okay, and we'll just go ahead and we'll open the public hearing. Are there anybody in the audience or anybody fill out a form that would like to talk at the public hearing? And the public hearing is regarding the proposed amendment to the district's groundwater management plan. And the board will hear public testimony at this time. Well, seeing that nobody's jumping up to the microphone, we'll close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 2. Consideration of Resolution 2502, intent to amend the district's groundwater management plan. John Ivor?
Good afternoon, Board President and members of the board. Today before you is the intention to amend the district's groundwater management plan. The groundwater management plan is considered a living document that serves the district as a tool for planning to assist in maintaining safe, sustainable, and high-quality groundwater resources in the long term. In the fiscal year budget 2024-25 master service agreement with Kennedy Jenks, there was funds allocated for the groundwater management plan update in preparation for the 2025 urban water management plan. I'm going to open it up for discussion on the groundwater management plan, but again, this is the intent to amend the groundwater management plan, and the staff would be making a recommendation to approve resolution 2502 with the intention to amend the district's groundwater management plan, and with that, open it up to the board.
Comments or considerations? Larry, do you have anything?
Seems like it's something we're supposed to do. I don't.
Mr. Rogers?
Nothing.
Chief?
None.
And then we need a motion.
I move to approve the resolution 25-02 with the intention to amend the district groundwater management plan, GWMP.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. This we need a roll call vote for.
Director Arthur?
Yay.
Director Bowden?
Aye.
Director Leisure?
Aye.
Director Woods?
Aye.
Director Cockle?
Yes. Okay. Item number 3. Consideration of Resolution 2503, intent to continue current existing water availability assessments of the 29 Palms Water District in the upcoming fiscal year 2025-2026.
Before you again today is another intention resolution. This intention resolution is to continue the water availability assessment. Current water district water availability assessment charge is $30 per acre per parcel less than 1 acre. For parcels 2 and 5 acres, it's $30 plus the $8 per acre after the first acre. Anything after 6 acres is another $7.50 per acre. The maximum charge for the district is $1,200 on a parcel. Funds collected for water availability assessment are used for capital improvement projects, maintenance costs associated with distribution and facilities, and operational expense. This item comes back to you in June with a public hearing and an adoption for water availability assessment. We'll open it up for discussion, but staff is looking for a recommendation to approve Resolution 2503 with the water availability continuing through the fiscal year 2025-2026. Open up for discussion.
Yes. Are there any that have a $1,200 fee that they pay?
We have 5 parcels in the district that do max out at the $1,200.
Any other discussion? Dr. Woods? Dr. Arthur?
This is in addition to our ready to serve, correct?
Correct. So on the back of your, like in your property taxes, we pay water availability assessment. And it's in the budget under revenue,
Non-operating revenues.
non-operating revenues.
Okay, that's all I have.
I have no questions.
I
No question.
move to approve Resolution 25-03 with the intention to amend, or to continue to currently existing water availability assessments in Trinidad Palms Water District for the fiscal year 25-26.
Any second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Cindy?
Director Lister?
Aye.
Director Bowden?
Right?
Director Leeser?
Aye.
Director Woods?
Aye.
Director Coghill?
Yes. Okay, item number 4. Oh, I don't know about this. Want to do this? Item number 4, committing Steve Gurney for 20 years of public service.
Before the board today is Resolution 2405, commending Steve Gurney for 20 years of public service. Making the presentation is the new district mechanic, Ryan Weber.
Hello, everybody. All right, so a resolution of the Board of Directors for the 29 Palms Water District commending Steve Gurney for 20 years of public service. Whereas Steve Gurney has been employed by the 29 Palms Water District since March 28, 2005. Whereas Steve Gurney has held the position of mechanic since his date of employment. And whereas Steve Gurney obtained and maintained 13 AFC certifications, implemented emissions programs, researched and procured equipment and vehicles, recorded and inspected all equipment and vehicles to state standards. And whereas Steve Gurney has been a committed and dedicated public servant and has worked tirelessly and cooperatively to promote a well-being of the 29 Palms Water District. And whereas throughout his many years of service, Steve Gurney has served the people of this district with fairness and dedication and with years of institutional knowledge. And whereas, not only as a public servant to this community, Steve Gurney served this country for 20 years in the United States Marine Corps. And whereas, the Board of Directors of the 29 Palms Water District desire the pleasure of recognizing and commending Steve Gurney for such public service. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the 29 Palms Water District does, by this resolution, honor, thank, and commend Steve Gurney for 20 years of public service to the 29 Palms Water District.
Haven't even said nothing. I'm already getting sloppy over here. Where to start? Board of Directors, General Manager, Mike, Robert. As you know, when I first got hired here, I was not too far removed from being a Marine, an old gunnery sergeant, with all the rough and ragged edges that go along with that. And really wasn't too far away from coming from Paris Island, where I was a drill instructor. So I had a few of those traits as well. The general manager, Mike and Robert, they were very patient with me. They had to grow me. Let's say it like that. They had to grow me. And they were afforded me the opportunity to grow, both personally and professionally. With the programs that were read off here. When I got hired here, emissions were just starting to take effect. The laws were already passed, but they were just starting to take effect. So they sent me to a lot of schools, classes and whatnot, got me spun up to speed, handed me the reins, and told me to keep us out of jail, keep us legal, okay? And so that's what we work to do. Got the chance to use some of the things I learned in the Marine Corps. I did some time at the Marine Corps' formal schools, motor transport schools, as a platform instructor, teaching people to drive trucks. That was put to use here. So we kind of stood up a little informal training course. Ryan here, he already has taken it to another level. And but there were a lot of things, a lot of chances to grow. And I just want to thank you for your support in standing behind me and standing with me, affording me the opportunity. So, Robert, I'll never forget the early days when I first started working here. You were the better man. You put up with me. He's a 49ers fan, okay? I'm a Cowboys fan. There you go. So he was the better man. A lot of times he just drove away and left me to stew, you know. So thank you, Robert, for putting up with me. You as well, Mike. There's been some moments where you've had to rein me in, and you did so with patience and care. So thank you for that. And this guy, probably the best times I've had here. We're going and getting equipment, researching the equipment, getting it, like we did yesterday. Yesterday. We went and picked up a new truck, and you get handed the keys, and you see the fruit of all the homework you did, and you get in there, close the doors, and it's you and that new car smell. And all of a sudden, everything's okay, you know. So days like that, moments like that, that I'll never forget. Thank you for the opportunities, man. Yes, sir. Board, if it wasn't for you all allowing us to do what we do, who knows where I'd be, what I'd be doing. So thank you, each and every one of you. Okay, big thank you. So with that, before I get sloppy and out of control, I'm going to leave it alone. So,
Well, Steve, we want to thank you for your years of service to the district and to the community. The people that are following behind you have some awful big shoes to fill. It's been a privilege and an honor to know you. Thank you. We wish you well in your retired endeavors. Now, I guess we're going to have to check with your wife to find out what you're going to do.
yeah, I've got a grandson to spoil.
There you go. Those are fun.
Yeah. I was told that what you do as a grandfather is you find the most obnoxious battery-powered toys, and you buy the best batteries you can find, and buy them in bulk, and you make a deal with the grandson. When the batteries run out, you just come on back to Grandpa. It's a batteries for you. So, yeah, we'll be doing that. Yeah, and I got to pay my bills every now and again, so we'll be stopping by and saying hi and having a cup of coffee. But as far as big set of shoes to fill, I like what someone who retired here a little while ago said. Ryan, you don't worry about filling my set of shoes. You fill your own.
Yeah.
Okay? You fill your own. So he's going to do some good things for you. He's ready on day one. And that's another thing. While it may not have seemed very financially responsible to have two mechanics on roll, it is my wholehearted belief that it's going to pay you dividends.
Oh, yeah.
The time that we had to cross-train. Okay?
They're very necessary.
There's things that I'm an old books and paper kind of guy. Okay? Got my bookcase with lots of manuals in it and whatnot. Him, he's like, looks up everything online, like right now, right to it. He's taken several things already to the next level. So day one, April 1st, he's ready right now. So thank you for the time that you've given for us to have together. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So we're going to need a motion and a second for Steve's resolution.
I'll make a,
motion.
no,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
And need a roll call
Approve.
vote.
Director Arthur?
Aye.
Director Bowden?
Aye.
Director Eaton?
Aye.
Director Wood?
Aye.
Director Cox?
Yes. All right. Item number 5. Approval of Kennedy Jenks Amendment Number 2 to the 2024 through 2027 Master Professional Service Agreement and accept proposal for well 11B treatment evaluation. Town Manager?
Before you today is the start of treatment at well 11B for arsenic, fluoride, and then hexavalent chrome, known as chrome 6. Currently, well 11B, the district treats naturally occurring arsenic. The fluoride levels have started to elevate to the maximum contaminant level, the MCL of California. And at the start of 2004, in the middle of 2004, hexavalent chrome maximum contaminant level came out. So attached to the staff report is an amendment from Kennedy Jenks, amendment number 2 from the 2024-2027 Master Service Agreement, and the proposal for well 11B treatment evaluation. The amendment to the service agreement is put into the well 11B treatment evaluation as an agreement for the new fiscal year. So as you guys remember, you guys approved Kennedy Jenks for a $220,000 service agreement. This is a new scope of work, it's a new scope of service that we're adding that will be within the $220,000 in their master service agreement. The scope of services for well 11B include project managing and site visits, historical operational data, water quality data review, treatment alternative evaluations, and project management development. So we're up for open discussion, but the staff is making the recommendation to accept amendment number 2 to the 2024-27 Master Service Agreement and accept the proposal for well 11B treatment evaluation at $87,010. But again, it's up for discussion, open to the board.
Matt, can you talk a little bit more about well 11B? I mean, I don't know the proper question to ask, but I'm going to ask, what, can you talk a little bit more about what a reasonable hexavalent chromium level would be, not to mention the fluoride, but I'm actually more concerned about the hexavalent chrome. And, have you seen this happen before? And how long is this going to take to rectify? And what, if any, are the dangers to the community at large? I mean, we're not using this well right now.
Technically, we could be using the well. We have 3 years to comply. So that's part of what I'll answer for you in this explanation. So well 11B is a well that is, and just so you know, Mike and Robert and myself, we really work these chrome or interior issues. So if they have a question up or want to throw some in, I'm okay with that. But well 11B is the closest well that's to Joshua Tree. As we get closer to Joshua Tree, every well in Joshua Tree is affected with chromium 6. Chromium 6 is a new standard, and I'm sure everybody has heard of hexavalent chrome 6 through Brockovich. It is not an industrial polish issue. California is the only state that has a new maximum contaminant level for chromium 6 at 10 parts per billion. 10 parts per billion is 10 drops in an Olympic swimming pool. Myself and other general managers that are having issues with chromium 6 have gone up to the state capitol to talk against chromium 6 and the maximum contaminant levels, because there is no scientific proof that we should have it at the level that it's at. Chrome 6 came out, the MCL came out for Chrome 6 about 2016, 2018-ish, and the state got sued because they did not do an economic feasibility study. There's still many people, including 29 Palms Water District, that believes they still have not done an economic feasibility study, and there's new lawsuits pertaining to chromium-6. So the levels that they have made chromium-6, so the district always treats for total chromium, which your chrome-6 could come out of that. They've now isolated total chromium to chromium-6, hexavalent chromium. Do I feel that 10 parts per billion is way under a level that our district can handle? No, I think we can treat it once we figure out treatments. Right now, we don't know what the treatment solution is, so we're starting this engineering process. We don't understand everything about chromium-6, how to strip it out of the water. But one of the statements that we will continue to make at California, and we've continued to make as we make our way up there, is California is going to make water very expensive, and it's going to be soon. So in a severe disadvantaged community like 29 Palms, it's important for us to know the ratepayers are going to be the ones paying for remediation of different things in the water or new maximum contaminant levels, where no other state has this maximum contaminant level. So we just want to be going up to the state capitals, continuing to talk to legislators. Our Community Water Systems Alliance that we have formed is always up there talking with our legislative teams to continue to talk to California legislators to say, you're making water unaffordable. Because at some point, the water affordability has to be talked about in this state. Because we are sitting on the back of our feet wondering what's coming next. Are they going to make arsenic lower? Are they going to make new constituents through water, hard MCLs to pass? So treatment is going to be extremely hard. It's going to be extremely expensive. Early numbers for Chrome-6 treatment alone, and that's not including arsenic and fluoride up at that well, 1.5 to 2 million. We have to decide, is 400 GPM, 400 gallons per minute well, is it worth it to put $2 million treatment on that well? Are we going to abandon that well? The good thing about that well, it's the one well on that side of the district where we're not pumping water as many times as we have to pump water. So we can continue to make water at the treatment plant and pump it throughout the district. We're doing a great job. The juggle that we do with our aquifers and how we are responsible for the aquifers that are underneath of us are really important. But if we continue to have maximum contaminant levels that are really hard to reach and not even treatment out there for these wells, it's going to be on the ratepayers of this district to figure out how to deal with chromium-6.
And if I could add to that, this is going to be a state mandate. You're on your own to cover the cost of that state mandate. It's going to be up to the ratepayers.
Well, I'm confused. If we don't know how to treat it, how could we know what the cost to treat it would be?
That's one of the questions we ask Sacramento every time we go up there.
So when we say we don't know how to treat it, there's pH control, there's ionic exchange. So we are very familiar with AA, which is activated alumina pH control. That's what we do at the treatment plant. The treatment plant right now is currently stripping fluoride at levels below the maximum contaminant level. Since TP2 has come online, TP2 was also high in arsenic that we did not know at the original. Like, we could go down and try to get lower water to get better water, but activated alumina with pH control also strips arsenic. So at the treatment plant, we're stripping arsenic and fluoride with activated alumina. More than likely, we're going to put a single train, they call it, of treatment for chromium-6 added with activated alumina as the second part of the treatment to treat for all three. So I'm not saying we don't have a clear cut, like this is what we want to do, and this is what this engineering report is going to help us with. Are we going strong base? Are we going weak base? Are we going reverse osmosis? Are we going to these different treatment styles as trains to get this well down? And then is it worth it? At 400 GPM, is it worth it to put $2 million of treatment? So there's a lot in that this little study that's going to help us. There's going to be some piloting. So with the treatment plant, we have a pilot in the inside of the treatment plant that we're hoping to take well 11B water to, use the process of activated alumina, also with the train of Chrome-6 treatment, hexavalent chrome. And we're going to be, hopefully, that district, that well having those three constituents, there's a lot of people interested in how we're going to be able to strip it.
So would it need to have a treatment plant on site up there with ponds?
It could, because of the byproduct. So if you regenerate on site like we do at the treatment plant, you're backwashing the system to then send the high fluoride or the high arsenic out to those evaporation ponds. More than likely, a treatment facility on that side at 400 GPM would be needed out there. So more than likely, yes, we're looking at evaporation ponds as well.
So, my question, are we currently using the well?
Right now, the well is off. So, okay, you still have 3 years to comply. If we want to put out the scare tactics to our customers, we can use that well and say we've got 3 years to comply. But our running annual average, our first sample was 25, meaning we only have at our next running annual average of 15. If we get to the running annual average and we're putting it into the system, we have to comply. We have to comply and get the scare tactics out.
So
we are not using
compliance is 10?
10 parts per billion.
Right. And we're pulling at 25 right now?
Our first sample was at 25, correct.
And you feel, the team feels that 10 is too low a figure to be reasonable?
If we were within the total chromium at that well, and now you've broken down a certain element and you're making it way less, then yes, I feel like it is too low. Because it's natural occurring. You don't have the scientific knowledge behind it on why we shouldn't be drinking it.
So if there is no scientific knowledge behind it as to why we shouldn't be drinking it, why we shouldn't be using it, then why, from your expertise, would the state be telling you that needs to be the microgram per liter?
Because we live in California.
Because it's a political push right now.
That's the answer right
exactly
there.
what's going
I live in
on.
California.
This is a political thing from the start of there in Brockovich, even though it wasn't natural occurring, that they've broken down an element that is in the water. So the question that people are going to ask is, well, why did your water change? And now we're high in Chrome 6, the water never changed. This is the same water we've been having for 200 years.
The only
But the
state-
levels changed.
The levels in the water have changed.
the
And
only
we're always worried about California changing the MCL on something else.
The only state that is required to do this, California, the only state.
The only state.
So, water's the same water quality we've been getting for 25 years. All that's changed is they've changed the standard of those parts per billion, parts per million.
It used to just be total chromium is all we tested for back in the day.
And now it's specific to chromium 6. Got it, okay.
Same water,
Okay.
I've been here 33 years at the district, going on 33, and it's the same well water. We drilled a new well there, but it's the same cup of water, same water quality, everything we've been drinking since I've been here.
So one of the things we go up to legislation and say is the scare tactics that we have to put out, give us better language to help us tell the constituents. Nothing has changed. Because now everyone thinks, well, you're close to Hinckley, so you've got Aaron Brockovich water. No, you have to understand that whole story. That was Chrome 6 levels that were out of this world. That
From
were
waste
killing people.
ponds.
And they were
They
being
killing
dumped
people.
in.
And so it got into their water system, and now natural occurring Chrome 6, hexavalent chrome, is also now the Aaron Brockovich Chrome 6. So you kind of have to understand the politics and why we're here. But the district isn't pushing away from complying. We need to get there. We need to figure out if that well's going to be worth putting the treatment.
Putting the investment into.
Yeah, putting the investment into.
And we're not the only district that's facing this problem. It's,
Well, let me just tell you, the neighboring agencies, Joshua Basin, every well is affected. They will have to comply. They'll probably have to put, I don't know how high their levels are. They'll have to put out a compliance plan. They'll have to put out the scare material, and they'll have to say within 3 years, we have to comply, but we are serving you water above the MCL.
If it applies to us, it's going to also apply to every water district in all the 58 counties of the state. It's a lot of districts.
This well is the one out near Indian Cove, correct?
Closest to JT.
Closest to Joshua Tree on the
Closest
north
to
side
the
of the
college.
highway.
Oh, okay, okay.
That little place on the right-hand side of the road with the black tanks.
Okay, I know where you're talking now. But we can still pump from it because, but it's getting mixed in with all the other water, so
Yeah,
we can reduce how much
you're
we
exactly
use.
right. You're blending, it's considered blending water. When you bring another source into a source that is high in something, you're blending it. And, you know, where that water goes and where our Chrome 6 levels are in the system, we have shut the well off. At this point, we don't want to put the scare material out. We would rather not. We're still doing all our sampling to comply and giving them the quarters that we need to do, but we don't want to give it to the public and put a scare material out there. Then it's about trust and transparency. You can tell them till you turn blue, it's the same water we've been drinking. The MCL has changed. we're gonna now be one of those districts that instead of like arguing through it, let's find an early way to how to treat this well, and then let's go after treatment at the well. And again, then we have to, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is a 400 GPM well worth putting a treatment plant at? And you'd be surprised that it may not work. That new well that is stainless steel that we drilled maybe 5 years ago, 1.1 million-ish, 1 million-ish, it may be a no good well anymore if we can't put a treatment plant there at, you know, millions and millions of dollars. But it's worth us to do some of these investments or investigations through engineering.
And I can only, excuse me just a minute, I can only assume that if we're drafting 300 gallons of, out of it now, and we went up that to say 9, that means that level of treatment goes up.
You want to pull 900 GPM, you have to re-permit the well. You have to go through the whole re-permitting process because you're pulling way more water out of the ground. At that point, we would do zone testing to see if we can get the levels lower by sinking our equipment lower. And we may still find out that that's what we'll go after, is through the process of pulling the well or knowing that treatment is not an option, we may pull the equipment and zone test the well deeper and lower to see if we can find better water and then section it off. So there is ways that you can section water off and you can try to find better water lower. And they've always told us, the lower you go, the better water quality. We had a hydrogeologist out there when we pumped, and these were the settings that everybody said, hey, we're good. But at that time, chrome 6 hexavalent chrome was not an MCL here in California.
Sorry, Larry.
So some water districts are under the gun now. They're in the 3-year plan.
Oh, yeah.
And there isn't even a way to solve the problem that they're aware of at this time. There is no way to solve it. We're all in the learning process right now. So we just want to get ahead to see where we are and what we might need to do. And the money that we got to do this is in our budget.
Correct.
Right.
The money
How
for
come
this.
our budget is so high? You said that it says 1.3 million.
Yeah, so 1.3 million has been in the budget on this item for years. And what Scott and I have been working closer with projects is the first phase of a project. You're really trying to get through engineering, environmental, any kind of early studies. After you get through that process, you then add construction costs. The 1.3 million was in there for construction of treatment for fluoride and arsenic, never chromium 6. So the 1.3 is sitting in a budget item, has been in there for years. You're going to probably see it this year's budget, that go down extremely, because years later we're going to throw it on the back end to do it for construction. If construction's even feasible at this well. If the juice isn't worth the squeeze, we're not going to go throw money at a well that we're not going to be able to produce water at.
That's what I was wondering, if we were putting money there just in case we were forced to do something.
And the 1.3 was also in there, Director Bowden, because the MCL got approved, California got sued, it went away, and now it's come back. And again, there's still people arguing that the economic feasibility study was never done.
So that's why we were on a hold.
We were kind of on a hold on the 1.3 because there was some studies about arsenic and fluoride up at the well.
Scott, are you like a guy that knows all about this kind of stuff?
When it comes to treatment specifically, Director, no. That's where
Money.
yes, I'm all in the numbers and how it tracks out on the district books.
So every time you go to Sacramento and you meet with the other people, no one's got a solution. And everybody's still a little bit confused about what's going on.
So here's the other thing. We have 3 years to comply. Depending on how big of a water district you are, you have 1 year to comply. The biggest one fighting this right now is Coachella Valley Water District. They have a lot of wells that have chromium 6. They have 1 year to comply because of how many services are in their district. They're the biggest fighters of chrome 6 right now because they don't even have, and they're $100 million water district budget that is sitting back trying to figure out chromium 6. Now, even back in the day when Chrome 6 passed, Indio Water Authority did put a chromium 6 plant in through a product where you changed chromium 6 to chrome 3, but they truly didn't know what the chrome 3 was going to do to their water system. So a lot of people kind of stopped to where they were going there because they weren't sure if this technique was even going to work. So then the MCL got rescinded and Indio Water Authority didn't really have to abide by the chrome 6 number anymore. So there's a lot. This has been going on for years, and that's why the 1.3 has been in the budget as long as it has been for the well.
And again, to reiterate, so there's no known treatment or way to treat this?
Okay, so there is, but you still have to do that evaluation. So, and I'm not a treatment guru. I understand activated alumina, and I understand what we do as far as what we take out. High ion exchange or high weak base and strong base. There are different solutions. Stannous chloride is another one. Stannous chloride changes chromium 6 to chrome 3 and puts it into the system. They're now doing a stannous chloride product where it changes it and then they try to strip the chrome 3. So I don't know enough to talk about it, and I hope this evaluation through KJ really helps me understand the weak and high ionic exchange.
Reverse
I think
osmosis too.
there is no thing that you can just go, okay, here it is, this
Right.
is what we gotta do.
Right.
So what are we paying $87,000 for?
For the evaluation. So,
To try to
What?
find out what to do.
yeah, so if you
Required by the state of
if you go into the
California?
evaluation, that's a great question. They do say that there's 4 processes right now that they are going to try. So pH depression followed by reduction, coagulation, and filtration with ferrous chloride. So again, things that I don't understand. pH depression followed with activated alumina, which we're good at, followed with reduction, coagulation, filtration, and ferrous. pH depression followed by AA, followed by weak ion exchange base. That's, I think, the one that they're going to tend to go to. The reason why I say reverse osmosis is not really an option for us is we don't have a sewer to send the waste stream down. So you have to kind of understand those. I would say the part that I don't understand the most is the reduction, coagulation, filtration, because here in 29 Palms, we don't use that as filtration measures right now. That doesn't mean we won't use them in the future at well.
If we decide it's important enough to keep pumping water out.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Any other questions for the general manager on the top? Director Woods, I understand your frustration and your question, but the state of California mandates these things, and all we can do is just comply with it.
I guess we shut up, we're not using the well. You don't have any known alternative that you think is going to work. They're going to try these 3 things because the 4th one won't work. And if any of them work or don't work, you know what I'm saying, it could be a moot point because it's too expensive to make the well work. And all the while, we still have 3 years for someone to figure out maybe how to make it work. So that's my only comment on it is.
A wise person once told me that education costs money. So I'm going to divert to
I don't know
education.
who that was then.
Well, and I will also be honest, that's a great question. The superintendents and I have had that same talk. Why don't we wait 3 years to see what somebody comes up with? And that's definitely something, if you guys say, hey, we're not really going to put the education at this and we'll wait 3 years to see what people are coming up with, that is an option as well. And we'll still stay in compliance with that well by sending the water to the open atmosphere, continuing to pull the samples that we pull, just knowing that we're not going to put it online anytime soon.
Any other discussion? Okay, and you need a motion for this, correct? So, knowing that, does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Cindy's been moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Arthur?
Aye.
Director Bowden?
All right.
Director Leeser?
Aye.
Director Woods?
Aye.
Director Coghill?
Unfortunately, aye. All right. Great discussion. Thank you, guys. Item number 6 is the formation of an ad hoc committee for joint city meeting.
In February, the Board of Directors meeting was discussed to form an ad hoc committee to help create the agenda for a joint meeting between the City of 29 Palms and the 29 Palms Water District. Today before you, we're looking to approve the formation of an ad hoc committee, and we would like to appoint 2 members of the board to this committee, open for discussion.
I'll call your attention to the fact that an ad hoc committee, once an ad hoc committee has been completed its task and delivered its findings, it is disbanded. So what are we actually looking for an ad hoc committee? and to have a conversation with the city. Don't get me wrong, the water district and the city of 29 Palms have nothing in common to speak of, nor can we vote on what they do, and they can't vote on what we do. But to sit down and have an ad hoc committee, Tutu and the general manager and the city manager, there are items that we can discuss. Director Wood was talking about the growth potential and things like that in the area. That information can be obtained by not, here in lieu of having two meetings, full city council and full board member. That information can be obtained. So I don't know exactly what the topics are going to be, but we're going to form an ad hoc committee. So who would like to be on the ad hoc committee for the city council?
I would like to say that if you're going to have an ad hoc committee to discuss the things that the city and the district have in common, if you wanted to have both boards get together like when we had the fire department, we had a common mission there.
Exactly.
The only thing I can think of here is growth, development. And the city can't foresee development. The city has no control over development. That comes from private people that come here and tell the city, I would like to do this. And then we have to all get together and tell everything that they need to do.
And I can only assume that with regards to growth, if there were instantly 100 meters purchased this next month, I'm sure we can absorb that and handle that.
That's one of the questions
Yeah,
I was wondering. What in 7 years, what would growth be that would be detrimental or something that would put us like, oh my God, we got to get B11 fixed?
Yeah.
So to put it in perspective a little bit, right now the treatment plant runs at about 40%. So if we upped the production at the treatment plant, and it's more expensive water, high fluoride, and we shipped it over, so we're pumping it, it's more expensive water, the district can absorb a huge development if it needed to. The infrastructure at this district is in a really good place. Because of past boards and past management, we did a really good job on building infrastructure and building it in the times where it was a little bit cheaper. Housing tract development, not a problem. 100 housing tract development. We've had those come in and tell us, we do a water analysis with them, but we're not in a place in 29 Palms where we even have low pressure or not areas that have good pressure. So pressure and flow, we could suffice a big development. I did speak with the city manager, I did speak with the planning director, Keith, and just said, hey, before my budget session, I'd love to sit down and see what you guys have coming on the agenda. Hotel, what can we prepare for? The ones and twos fill-ins in the neighborhoods, the houses, that's easy. Our infrastructure is there, the infrastructure is really solid. Are we thinking if the town doubled in size and we went from 8,300 service connections to 16,000? Yeah, we would need to probably up our mains because more people would be tied off. But right now, this district can grow, and we can grow pretty significantly with the infrastructure that's in place. And say that very confidently.
I think at this point in my life of living here, by the projected forecast, we're supposed to have over 80,000 people in 29 Palms. I think we lost 2,000 last year. So they're not doing a very good job of projecting our growth, so I don't know how we're going to do that either.
Yeah.
And projection of growth has always been on just a really slow either decline or increase, and you're right, losing numbers doesn't help us. Open houses that the meter's been sitting open for a while is not water flow, but again, this district can definitely get a hold of city management staff and their planning director and just say, hey, where are we at? The hotel down at Project Phoenix does look like that could come kind of in our foreseeable future. The infrastructure for the fire line is already in place. Some of the services, if I remember, are already in place, but if not, they did an upgrade of our water mains down there for that project because it was required through the fire suppression system. So the district is, as a water district, is ready to take on growth, infrastructure upgrades if we need to, and in some point we will put out a plan to get rid of some of the older mains in town, but right now, last year we had 7 mainline leaks, and we're looking at about 3 or 4 this year. If you talk to any other water district close to us, that's an unheard of number. We're really good with our infrastructure. and where we're at.
Unheard of number in a positive way.
In a positive way.
Yeah.
There's districts that have 7 leaks a day, 3 leaks a day, and we're doing that in a year time frame. So
Ours is relatively new, a lot of it, right? I mean, in the last 20 years, I would consider that pretty new.
yeah, so Rob, Minitry, and myself were part of the pipeline infrastructure upgrades in the 90s. They did it at a time where the infrastructure wasn't as expensive. You're looking at infrastructure right now at $75 a foot. If district staff does the infrastructure, if contractor does it, $125 a foot, $150 a foot. So right now, what the district, and again, board of directors and management in the past really believed in upgrading this infrastructure, and they did an amazing job, especially with an in-house pipeline crew.
Well, I think USGS study, our water quality is something that affects the city and the water district because we all drink the same water. And I know that we've worked on trying to get that done. If there is anybody that, if we want to have an ad hoc committee that wants to have 2 people that sit around and try to figure out what it is we have in common to go to the city with, I would be glad to sit on that. As the newest person, I would defer to anybody else that if there's 2 other people that wanted to do it, I would take my name right out of saying I'll do it.
Just a little history on ad hoc committees. In 2015, there was a formation of an ad hoc committee to consider potential annexation of fire protection services to the San Bernardino County Fire District. 2016, formation of ad hoc committee to discuss and review water district schedule fees. 2019, formation of an ad hoc to review the current general manager's job description and establish a salary range. So again, these are for specific individuals, individual items. It's not like a standing committee that remain active indefinitely. The ad hoc committee does one item, and once that item is done, it's dissolved.
Correct.
So that's it.
So staff is making the recommendation to form this ad hoc committee. If the board would like to not go with the recommendation, that's up for discussion. But forming an ad hoc and getting 2 members on the ad hoc is what we're looking for today.
Did the city request, or are we, is only staff
Stone
requesting?
is aware that I'm going to our board today, and he's bringing an item soon as well.
A little history for you. You weren't here at that meeting. The city manager was here and spoke on a different way to attack the animal, so to speak, was to form an ad hoc committee. So on their side and on our side to discuss what are the items we want to talk about, and then sit down and have that meeting.
But to go back even further, Mike, if you were at this meeting or not, I had simply requested an investigation of holding a joint session where we would give some presentational information about projects that we're working on, and they would do the same, much like the 2 educational do. It's not an ad hoc committee.
I
or
remember
anything
you
like
suggesting.
that. It's just a joint meeting that the public can come to so they can see both of their governmental agencies working together, as I feel that there is a sense of mistrust and distrust around public figures or around governmental agencies. That was my request. There was no request to make ad hoc committees or to single out issues. It was, this is what we do, this is what we do, and lots of people don't go to a city council meeting or a water board meeting because why would I? It was just, we do that twice a year. This type of thing has kind of blossomed into something that I had never intended, and so I withdraw my request to even have said meetings because I think the intention was either misunderstood or misconstrued.
Does the rest of the board feel that same way, to withdraw this conversation of the ad hoc committee?
You were looking more just for a joint public ed type thing.
Correct. That
where-
would be
where the
something that
city
the public
said,
could go
here's what
to."
our goals and
Exactly.
agendas are,
Here's things that we're working
Yeah.
on. That's what the college and the school district
Okay.
do. It's well attended. It lets people see how the link, is there together. And I don't know of any other governmental agency servicing the community or the public here that people might be interested in. But that was not my intention. So again, I withdraw my request to have said meeting, as I don't think that the intent was either understood or is even possible. I think it's a bigger deal than it needed to be.
said, I'm at a loss to, we didn't.
Is that your motion?
We didn't formally make a motion.
I didn't ask for the formation of an ad hoc committee, but I did ask for a joint
Got it.
meeting, and that's kind of not happening, so
Did you ask
my motion is I move to not form an ad hoc committee for joint city meetings at this time. Thank you.
I'll second Amy's motion, because I think I see the disconnect.
Yeah, I agree. But your original comment on all that was in the director's comments. It was never a motion.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to not form an ad hoc committee. And Amy withdraws her request at the director's comments.
You want to do a roll call?
Yes, let's do a roll call.
How do you vote?
Well, right now, it is an
approving
action item
that
here on
she's-
formation of an ad hoc
she's
committee, so
expect the ad hoc committee.
I move to not form an ad hoc committee, and that's what we've been voting.
Okay.
Director Arthur?
Aye.
Director Bowden?
So if I say aye, that means that I don't want to have the ad hoc committee. Aye.
Director Leeser?
Aye.
Director Woods?
Aye.
Director Coghill?
Yes?
I was confused.
Yeah, over here too. Look, all over here. All right. Item number 7, discussion on health benefits for the board of directors. This is an item that we have tabled for at least 3 months, maybe 4, because I was adamant about the fact of having a full board present to discuss this item, since it's going to affect this board and future board members that are going to be in attendance. So that's why it's here tonight. Thank everyone for being here. With that said, General Manager?
Making the presentation on health benefits for Board of Directors is Scott Nelson with Starting Line Advisory.
Thank you, Matt. Good evening, Board of Directors. So at the direction of the board, staff and financial consultants prepared an analysis of the potential cost of offering health benefits for directors, same kind of benefits offered to full-time staff at the district. Currently, district pays 100% of employee health costs, 70% of dependents and spouse. These are high-level assumptions we made doing this analysis. Full 5-member board with no vacancies. Assumes all. We have 2 scenarios presented here, our lowest cost scenario and a highest cost scenario. So our highest cost scenario assumes all 5 board members choose the highest cost plan with 1 spouse included, and no Medicare offsets are included in the calculation. So the highest cost plan available would be the HMO plan at $2,071.39 per month. At that plan, so assuming all directors and spouse at the highest cost plan would be approximately $125,000 annual cost for those medical premiums for the board of directors. That $125,000 represents roughly 1.63% of total annual district revenues. Meaning all else being equal, to absorb the cost of providing health insurance to directors, future rate increases for the district would be affected somewhere in that 1 to 2% range to absorb that change in cost. The lowest cost option available, so it would be just director, no spouse. At the PPO plan would be $858.60 a month per person. Annualized represents about $52,000. So that's kind of the range there. Lowest cost scenario, $52,000 annual, highest cost $125,000. So included behind the staff report, we have 2 exhibits. Exhibit A shows the table of current health plans available through Aqua JPIA, and the second is a reflection of a kind of a budget scenario for these 2 cost options. One for the lowest cost, one for the highest. On Exhibit B, that modified budget projection, column A is our adopted budget for fiscal year 24-25. Column B is showing with the highest medical cost, and column C is with the lowest medical cost. The only line that will change between those 3 scenarios is going to be line 54 under direct expenses relating to board of directors. That's where you'll see the line item change in accordance to the projected potential health benefit offering. Matt, anything to add there?
No, I think the biggest thing is staff is looking just for direction. We want to open discussion. We didn't have much direction with, Do we want to do this and implement it right away? Do we want to do it during the next fiscal budget year? Do we want to do it in the next rate study? So discussion today was to have an open discussion and give better direction or policy direction on what the board might want to see, and really to open up to you guys for a full discussion.
Can you tell us about opt-ins and opt-outs? Or if there are any?
So if you guys opt out, you have to provide Aqua with who your insurance is, so there is an opt-out option. Let's say you opt out and you decide that there is a issue. What did they call the issue, Cindy, again?
Catastrophic.
Family.
It's a qualifying event.
Qualifying event, there you go. If there is a qualifying event, the district board members would be able to opt back in.
Can I ask a question on Schedule B? I didn't know if I was going out of order, but I don't think I am, because this has been alternative budget scenarios with Director of Health Benefits, right? So Schedule B, the increase or decrease in fund balance, I say with the adopted budget for 24-25, right?
Correct.
So you have an ending fund balance or an expected surplus of $2.2 million, is that correct?
That is a deficit.
You're operating in a $2.2 million deficit?
That because we've had a large amount of cash built up for planned capital
So your ending
projects.
fund balance is which of these numbers then?
The very bottom line projected 6.3 cash, which
So
is the
you have-
6.3 million.
Okay, a $6.3 million ending fund balance is anticipated.
Correct.
And the operational budgets for 24-25, and I'm sorry, just help me here.
So the total operating expenses for the year is right around 6.2 million on line 67.
And your deficit spending on line 73, decrease in ending fund balance, just say by the adopted budget, was due to what?
It's all, so if you look at line 68, net revenues available to fund CIP, from operations, district is operating at a 1.3 or just under $1.4 million surplus available to fund capital projects. Based on our current capital project budgeted activity for the year, that's what brings us to the bottom line number of the negative 2.2 million. So it's planned capital project spending.
And a couple other questions. So again, because I don't think this has ever been discussed. So the majority of dwellings, domiciles, businesses, whatnot, that are serviced by Trinity Palms Water District are single home families, family homes. What would you say that would be?
The majority?
Yeah.
Single family residents.
Single family, right. So let's say for the budgeted lowest cost medical? Did you
So
give us-
budget lower cost is $52,000 is the round number. The precise number is 51.5.
Right, but for the first one, you gave us what the rate increase would be as a 1 to 2%.
Correct. So the highest cost option, the $125,000, that represents 1.63 of our total budgeted revenue for the year.
And how about the lowest cost?
I could do that math real quick. Apologies, but it would be
0.68.
0.68. Oh, thank you, Matt. You're right. That is in the report. So
So
0.68.
close to a 0.5%.
Yes.
-ish, at the lowest rate.
Correct.
And a 0.5% on an average, because I'm sure you have that information, an average water bill on a single-family home average is what a month?
What's an average water bill?
An average water bill?
$35.
Yes, I would say $35. So a 0.5% of that is what?
$1.75.
Thank you. I have no more questions.
Why are we doing this? Why are we looking into this, is my question.
One of the reasons was given that if we had healthcare benefits for directors on board, seated and future board members, whoever they may be, was to attract applications. Because in the past, we've had a bit of hard luck trying to get members to run to vote, or to run for office, be voted on, or they get appointed. There's a lot of people that are appointed to this position as opposed to run for this position. There are some that do run. But we've always looked at why, what would be a benefit that we could offer them to have an incentive to run, rather than just being a good steward of you care about your civic duty. I look at it in a little different light. We're here on average 2 hours a meeting, rough average throughout the year. If you times that by 12, that's 24 hours, that's 1 day. The juice the juice ain't worth the squeeze, in my opinion,
Me either.
for us being here 1 day a year, in essence. Cumulative time, like you would figure out how much it would be for a water bill, so cumulative time, 24 hours. I've seen this district, I've been around this district since, full-time 1972 and beyond. I've seen this board go through this very thing we're getting ready to go through, of having benefits, and the general public is up in arms, going from chair to podium, asking why. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? We ourselves ask our Congress, why do why do they get paid those benefits? Why do they get that retirement for 4, 6, 12 years of service? I just don't think it's a wise decision, especially with the cost involved that the district's going to have to, the ratepayers are going to have to absorb. I certainly don't need this policy, nor does my wife. So I would be the one that would opt out of this policy. But that said, it's not up to me, it's up to this board to decide. There's a myriad of questions that we all have. Any other comments?
I do. So when we first started this discussion, at that point, we weren't even sure if there was going to be enough people for an election, and it turned out that there was not. So we have 2 board members, or actually 3 now, who are appointed to this board. That does affect things within this district. The fact that we don't have a majority of our board as elected anymore. So we do have to keep looking at ways to get good qualified candidates running for these positions. I'm glad that we did this and we looked at the numbers. And I always said it's always good to have something, because we don't know what a future board member. I think last time we looked at each board member, no one was going to opt into this. But it's always good to know, if it were to come to that, what are the numbers, and updating the numbers later will just be easier. We have something to go off of. So I think this was a good exercise in knowing what it would look like.
I do want to correct my earlier reply to you, Director Woods. 0.5% of that bill at $35 would be 17 cents. I just wanted,
Excuse me?
I had a decimal.
It was 17 cents.
17 cents, thank
Yes.
you, sorry. I wanted to correct that for
Dr. Loser?
My concerns are that this will be seen as a compensation. I mean, we're looking at $2,000 per month roughly per board member. Why wouldn't you just add the stipend and increase it to $2,100 a month? I think it's going to cause just as much public outroar as the thing with the water meters and us getting drug money from the people stealing water.
And if you remember, when the compensation went up for the board, we are subjected to public hearings. So a public hearing would have to take place. We just have to be aware that that's part of the compensation for a board member, is also going through a public hearing and then making it new policy.
And I'm concerned about the tax liabilities in it too. I mean, I get a statement every year about what my employer pays for my health benefits and stuff, but that's for a job where I'm working 2,080 hours a year for that benefit. Whereas here, I'm looking at, we're looking at 5 people working 24 hours per year for a benefit that our employees for the district have to work 2,080 for. So I'm just worried about the appearance of it.
I would worry about the appearance as well in the other water districts that are in this area. Do they all have health insurance plan?
I believe they do.
They do.
For their board members?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And there was a big article about it in the paper actually last week. And so to have public servants, I don't think there's anyone on this board right now, currently, that would even be able to take those benefits. My concern was in the future, having been appointed and nobody else even coming to have two choices for your appointment. And then I ran after that, unopposed. You ran unopposed, and you're appointed. So I just simply thought it was worth a discussion to take a look at people who are qualified, interested and qualified in being on said water board, might be independently employed plumbers, might be single moms with a water background who don't have insurance who go, that might be a good gig for me. I don't only spend an hour. I read through these packets, I do research on top of research, and then I have Matt calling me most months for something. While I understand that it is not the same amount of time that the employees have when we receive a paycheck or a check from that makes us an employee, number one. Number two, lots of other boards, i.e. school boards, college boards, or any other kind of board only spend that 2 hours a month at the board meeting and have the same benefits. I'm not really bringing this up for anybody currently on the board. I have huge concerns about the future, so much so that I did some research on what gets people to volunteer their time or have, do their time for public service. And there are a lot of incentives out there to do that when you have to come to a 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock now board meeting and you have to find a sitter for your child. There's just, or you have to leave work an hour and a half early and have that taken off your time to come to the meetings. There is more cost. And I just thought that it was good to have that workup for future, to be able to say that when you don't have a Bob or a Randy or an Amy or a Larry and to be appointed or whatnot that have retirement benefits or Social Security benefits, that are we setting up the future to have discussions about what is a reason to give your time to your community, to the public. And I think that is well worth the discussion.
I agree. I agree that having the discussion is important. With that being said, I mean, again, staff is just looking for direction at this point. I'm glad that we finally had the open discussion. I think it was very important. Finance has, brought you the information that we needed.
I believe Larry has something more to discuss.
I got a whole page of notes. Can I talk?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks. Man, talk. Why does nobody care about the water district? Why is there no interest?
Maybe it's because we're transparent and doing a good job.
Maybe because there's no controversy. When you're a city, everyone's, let me say this right, everyone's mad at the city because the city tells them what to do. When you're a school district, everyone's mad at the school district because you tell them their kid doesn't do well or something. As a water board, our job is just to be sure that when they turn the faucet on, they get clean water to drink. As long as we're doing that, there's no controversy. There's nothing to get excited about. I'd say if you're going to do anything, raise the stipend. You can't go on unknown cost into the future. Okay, this year we got 2. Next 3 years from now, we have 5 that are taking it. Okay, I'm running. I'm going to tell you up front, I have retirement. I don't have to take the $24,000 a year like my opponent's going to have to take. It's going to come out of the ratepayers' pay. I'll use that as a tactic of my campaign.
Is that a tactic that everybody uses for every other water board election or every other school board
I don't
election?
have any idea.
I've
I'm
never
just
heard
telling
it
you
used.
what I'm thinking. Well, maybe people aren't quite as devious as I am. It's not that I'm ever going to run for anything. Here I sit. Full-time employees definitely earn to have that benefit, 100%.
Yep.
Part-time people, I was going to say I work more than 24 hours too towards the water district because I care a little bit and I try to research and know what I'm talking about. But not enough that I don't have to. I could just get the job and live my life and show up and put in the 24 hours and get the benefit that made me want the job. I can't buy that. And okay, it's 70 cents a month, you know, but then how much is Chrome 6? Huh? Oh, 17 cents a month. Meaningless, right? But then there comes Chrome 6. Then there comes the next thing that we don't know about. Then we have to put in another thing. Once again, the ratepayers are going to absorb all that. I think I'm pretty correct in saying that some of the local districts are double the price for water that we are. Oh, great, I get it. What are they doing with that money? You know, I'm just saying, I'm not for spending ratepayers' money for something I don't think you should spend it for. I understand that we need to figure out some way to get people. Listen, I've worked for the city for years. Nobody even knew there was a water board. They would come to us for their water problems. They ask them where the water district is. They don't know. And how are you going to make them know? They don't care. When it comes on, it works. When they owe money, people that owe you money know where you are, I'll bet you.
Correct.
Just saying.
Yep.
I think I'm looking at this as I understand what's happening here, but I just don't think that this is a good way to fix it. Maybe we got to work on getting the water district out more somehow.
You mean like having a joint meeting?
You can't have a joint meeting. It's against the Brown Act. You can't have all your people just show up and have a meeting.
We do it twice a year.
Where?
The school district,
The school district with who?
CMC.
You guys have, that's because you guys have more in common than a city and a water district does.
Yeah, you guys
No
are.
offense.
I'm just saying, what else can we do? He's saying, what else can we do? Here's another question. You know, the information that was given as an employee. In other words, you pay 100% of your employees' benefits, which again, the agency I work for does not. They pay a portion and then we pay into that as well. Same thing happens when you're a retiree. So is that something that can be looked at? I'm just trying to look at trying to have a mechanism and a discussion by way of, no, you can't do that?
Yeah, Aqua JPI, I think we kind of looked into that, but talking to legal, going into closed session here soon, it was brought up with Steve Anderson today, actually, this topic. And Steve says, we got to run this by legal too, because the insurance company's going to tell you, yes, we'll take 5 more members. They don't know legally if what you're saying is correct. What portion, though, do you have to pay? Because it shouldn't be maybe what an employee gets at 2080, and it should be scheduled different, I'll call it, right? So
Maybe it's just the opportunity to even buy into the insurance that a single person would not be able to do that. She's shaking her head, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, so to adjust the different plans, I think we did look into, and Aqua's like, you're either all in, and it's these plans, or there isn't an adjustment plan. But again, that's going to be a legal question as soon as, if this ramps up, BBK will also get involved to say, hey, at less than 400 hours, you guys are taking a risk. I don't know. Steve was trying to tell me that today, and I said, I kind of find that hard to believe if other districts already have board of directors on benefits. So, but something we would have to look into as well is the attorney aspect of it, the legal aspect.
I think if we look back, if we're talking about a way to attract future board members, I think if we look back at the history of the district, I don't think that there's ever been a lack of someone sitting here. It may have been the San Bernardino County's dragging their feet, if you will. I don't mean to be cruel to San Bernardino County, but to have 700 people appointed with one smack of the gavel, and they waited 3 months to do it, that's not fair to the district, but that's not something we can fix. I think there are people out there that want to show their civic pride and do their due diligence without having this kind of a liability to the ratepayers. That's my opinion. Anybody else have any further discussion?
Yeah, I do. Matt, when I can't remember who it was working on trying to do the rate studies for all the districts and stuff, I remember seeing spreadsheets with that. Did they cover anything in there like what they provided to their board members in all these districts?
No.
Is there a way to collect that? I mean, I'd love the article you have. I don't get
That should be,
text paper.
that should be
But-
public information that we could reach out to the districts. and
I
say,
would
"Hey,
love to know that. I'd love to know what they're paying for stipends in the districts, you know? And some of these districts up there are, we've got more pipe in the ground than any of the other districts up here, right?
Joshua Basin has more pipe, less services. High Desert, probably about the same, more services. And then Bighorn, small and Grand.
Yeah, and then because I was noticing the rates were significantly different between our district, and I was like, wow, ours seems to be better run and far more efficient and much better costing to ratepayers.
It's 5%. Water code keeps it to 5% increase a year. This district didn't decide to raise your stipend for many, many, many years. And
Yeah.
then when you start raising it, it can only go up 5% a year.
And we have a 5% built in every year after we
And
raised it
and
last
there's
year.
nothing, but there's no restriction on like this discussion we're having now about benefits. That's not governed like that. It's not seen as like a stipend.
It is part of the compensation plan where you would have to go to public hearing. So it is part of that. It is part of the compensation plan, and we can definitely dive into the other districts and what they're doing for their other board of directors as far as compensation.
Yeah, because I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I mean, if there's a way to get people more motivated to serve, I'm all for that. But I want them here for the right and noble reasons of being here to serve the community, not because of what they're going to get from it. And then what they're here for is the cash cow or the benefit grab, and not necessarily invested in service.
One of the things when we talk about rates, this district is 100% groundwater, where the other districts are not. So in their defense, they have a tiered rate system because they bring in water from the Mojave Water
Yep.
Agency, something we
That-
don't do.
That county pipeline that goes across the mesa.
County pipeline, it goes all the way to Apple Valley. This district does not have that tie-in, and this district doesn't need it. So that's very important for us, for our operations, to keep costs down. And even with that being said, we just saw 5 years of 10%, the largest rate increase this district has ever seen in its entirety. It was 10% for 5 years. And we're looking at another rate study right around the corner. Now, we're doing a very good job with the district where we're hoping, there's 2-3 years of increases, smaller hopefully, with maybe towards the end of the rate increase, no increases. And there's no water district right now with unfunded regulations and the things that they're dealing with CARB and unfunded regulations and everything we're dealing with that are up against no rate increases.
Yeah.
So the district has put themselves in a really good place, even with ratepayers in a severe disadvantaged community, understanding what we provide for this community. There are some of those things when other people talk about the other districts that, they are paying a different rate, and it's because water's coming in, not from just groundwater like it is here.
Yeah.
That is part of the discussion.
And I know we're always the odd man out because they're always talking about drought and the groundwater, not the surface water, not the groundwater. So, but yet still sticking us with the same regulations
Putting
that
everybody in
the
the
surface
same
water
boat,
people have.
Even though we're not all in the same boat as we pull water out of the ground.
I look at the costs, and I look back at when we had all that activity with the fire department issues with the city and stuff, and nobody wanted to even bite the cost of a Happy Meal per month to save it. And then once that issue went the way that it did, attendance fell off at the meetings, and we're sitting here talking to ourselves for the most part. So I don't know what the motivation would be.
What Mr. Leeser says. I would have no interest in an increase in the stipend. It's not about
Yep,
money.
me neither.
It's not about that. I want to raise the discussion issue, not even about the water district, and certainly not the ratepayers or our taxpayers funding insurance. It was about, is there a way that people who serve on this board can hook on to the insurance? And again, I bring outside knowledge in that, you guys have different knowledge, just like the joint meeting thing, where you can have the ability, to buy into that, where you don't have that ability as a single a self-employed person or that kind of thing. And I respect what everybody else here says, but I still feel how I feel, which is I think that there needs to be something that brings people back into wanting to, give of their time and be, public service. It's not it's not all that easy all the time. And so there should, and then I look around at everybody else, literally everybody else has done that homework, and we are the only ones that don't even have an option. I don't need to offer someone a $2,000 a month whatever plan for you and every member of your family, but could we look at something where, hey, since if you are an employee of the district, i.e., a director, do you have the opportunity to buy into insurance when you would not have that opportunity any other way? And I don't think that that's trying to get people in on a cash cow. I just think that that's, people do, look at incentives for different things. And I have not having known much about the water district, other than paying my bill for the last 36 years, I was very surprised at the lack of interest anywhere for these positions where we sit. You two have been here since Moses and whatever, you know everything about everything water district. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm old.
They know
Thanks.
everything about water, but I don't. And so coming inside, I have other knowledge, but you learn about the water business here.
Any other comments on the topic? Okay, under the recommendation, staff is looking to have an open discussion on health benefits for the board of directors and set and direction if the board would like to move forward with creating a policy. I'm taking it from our discussion that we do not want to move forward with creating any kind of a policy. So,
But I'd like to look into it more. I'd like to get those comparables off these other districts. I'd like to know what the standard business practice is.
so we can put that under director's comments.
I mean, because I don't look outside our district and go, what's that guy doing over there? I do hear from my friends that live in these other districts bitterly complaining about the shenanigans that go on in some of their districts. I mean, there's some disgruntled customers that I hear from once in a while, but not in the capacity as a board member, as, a neighbor or a friend in an area I used to live. So I'd love to know more about the comparables.
Can we put that down as a
Future agenda item?
future agenda item, staff task, director's comments and reports?
Yes, please. I would love to have that.
Okay. So what do we want to do about this item that's on the agenda right now? Just
Well, Bob, is the item just a discussion on health benefits? So I believe we've had
the discussion and we're taking no action on it. We'll move on to the next item.
was it, I don't know how you take action on the discussion yet. We had the discussion.
Well, but every time we've discussed it, we haven't.
We've given, I was going to say, the directive to follow. Well, Rand, like I said, I appreciate the things that Randy wants to know. I just wanted to know as well, again, I fully respect the figures that have been given. I also understand what they really reflect if every single board member, I get it. And I'm not going to sit here and say with a crystal ball that would never happen. But I do think that there are other ways to take a look at being able to provide something like that. Like I said, I'm not interested in any kind of an increase in stipend whatsoever. That doesn't mean anything to me, and I don't know who it does mean something to, but I look at this newspaper article that came out last week about this type of thing with water board, and I looked when it said what their stipend was. It wasn't that far off from ours. It was this other thing, so, stipend for attending the meeting.
Was there anything in there about how they're filling their positions? Are they having the same problem we are, or are they having?
Some of the same rationale, I know there's 2 copies of it, but some of the same rationale is just what I had originally talked about, which was, the future, the future of the boards, and how do you have people in this climate wanting to serve.
So some of the other boards, that article that's being talked about, they've had board members on those boards for 20 years, and they haven't shown a big interest of candidates running against the incumbents. And usually if there is an incumbent that isn't around, there's usually one person that's running for the vote. So I think, yes, the question is those boards are also having the same issues we see at times.
Okay, good. I'd love to have more information on it. I'm hoping to it. I mean, when you hear it in terms of 17 cents per bill, I think that's cheaper than a number of other things that are on my bill for assessments, trash fees, and other stuff.
And that would be, again, if it was 100%.
If it was
paid.
everybody on a
And
certain plan, then.
I personally just don't have any
Yeah.
experience with having 100% of anything
Yeah.
paid, so.
And that's everyone else, everyone on the board as well.
Correct, and
Yeah.
you have to assume, I'm never going to go with the whole, it's only going to be 1 or 2. I'm not going to
Yeah.
go with that.
Oh, yeah.
On this board right now, no 5 would take it. But I'm not, it's not about right now. I was
Yep.
just trying to bring it up for
Yep,
the
it
future.
brings a potential.
Any other discussion? Okay, we're gonna move on to.
Bob, I
item
thank
eight.
you, I actually thank you for being steward of keeping it on the agenda till we had the full board. I know that was for me, and I appreciate that.
Well, it was not just for you, it was for all the board members here and in the future. I was adamant about that. Thank you for your comments. Okay, item number 8 is the consent calendar. Matters on the consent calendar are to be considered routine and will be enacted in a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of the items unless the board, staff, or the public requests specific items to be removed for separate discussion in action before the board votes on the motion to adopt. They consist of the minutes of the regular meeting held on February 26, 2025, and the current audit list. So, we have a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 9. So the items are removed, there are none. Item 10, going to be the management reports. 10.1, maintenance. And I believe that's going to be Superintendent Bennett.
Good evening, Board of Directors. The Operation and Maintenance Department performed the following tasks during the month of February 2025. Responded to 106 underground service alerts, 3 leak audits, 37 shutoffs, 517 total work orders completed. Exercised 141 valves. We had 1 mainline leak. There were 1,232 past due bills, totaled $7,169 in penalty fees. And if the board has any questions, I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Maybe this isn't the time, but I'm going to ask it because people have asked me because of the fires in Los Angeles. How are our fire hydrants checked?
We have
Are we on a plan, a system,
So the fire hydrants in the district, we have a 2-year valve cycle program. It's 3,800 valves-ish. We rotate every valve every 2 years. It used to be 3 years. We've gone to the 2-year valve program. Hydrants are checked because those valves are very important. If a hydrant gets hit, that we can shut them off. When they're not exercised and can shut off fully, the district staff is in there repairing fire hydrants. What maintenance happens is when we're flushing those hydrants or doing the valve exercise, the crew knows to flush the hydrants for a bit. One of the things this district does not have an issue with is pressure. Pressure is really good. There's a small system off of the Lear pneumatic that's about 25 homes, I believe, that doesn't have the greatest pressure because we're pumping into a small system to feed that 25. Everywhere else, our fire hydrants and our pressure here is extremely well. So district, knowing to get in every hydrant every 2 years, there's districts close by that they don't. They have a main source valve like in a street that's really important that they go and turn. We try to exercise, like I said, every 2 years, and we've been really good. With the equipment that you guys have provided with the new valve turner, we're gonna have 2 valve turners, so we may even make that a 1-year program. That would be a lot of valves in 1 year, so. The hydrants get inspected every 2 years.
You know, people think they're never inspected. I said, if it's painted bright yellow, it's probably just
We-
been inspected.
We get some pretty hydrants.
Right. And I've seen the water pressure when someone knocks one over, it goes up really high.
When we do our annual maintenance, are we doing static flow and residual pressure monitoring on our hydrants when we fill them?
Yeah, you got it.
So we already have a model built into the system where if somebody calls and says, hey, we need a fire hydrant flow letter from a certain neighborhood, we already have a lot of that data in our computers. But let's just say we hit an area where we don't. We will go flow hydrants and do a fire flow and get back into the system so the system is updated. So almost every hydrant in the district, I would say probably 90%, if not more, we have fire flow testing already done. Now, do we do that normally every month? No, we don't.
And we keep our tanks at a certain level.
Yeah, anywhere from 3/4 to full. I mean,
Yeah, because
you know.
I think for your concern, LA, they were all going on about there was no water in the hydrants. Well, there was water. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I forget it. I just wanted to-
the problem was is when everybody in the whole neighborhood starts running garden hoses, it drops that flow pressure down.
There's a lot of people.
And the fire trucks can't get water from the systems because if they put a negative pressure on it, they'll collapse the water mains.
Let alone the
So-
fire hydrants that were, the fire trucks that were tied into the fire
Yeah.
hydrants and flowing water. Everybody's sucking out the same.
Yeah, and everybody keeps forgetting that the fire hydrants is the water distribution system, drinking water, garden hoses, everything. It's not just for firefighting. So there was a lot of misunderstanding in the communities down there.
Well, and a lot of those communities and bigger water districts didn't have the infrastructure in place as far as generators to continue to pump after the
They lost
reservoirs
power.
went low. A big push that you guys have made through the emergency or local hazard mitigation plan is getting generators at some sites. One of the new generators is back here. We just got it this week. That'll be, besides the 4 tow behind generators we have, we're gonna have about 6 to 8 generators on site at major sites now.
Yeah.
Our district isn't gonna be that district that runs out of water at a reservoir.
Well, and that's the well, yeah, if we lose water, it's because we ran out of diesel, electricity, and everything else. It won't be because we ran out of water. That's the nice thing about not relying on surface water. We don't have a reservoir to drain and run out of water over. So we're in a good position.
Any other questions for Superintendent Menifee? Okay, moving right along to Superintendent Sheldon. Water quality.
Okay, shout out to you, Mr. Gurney, congratulations. Thank you. Water quality for February 2025, chlorine level in the distribution system averaged at 0.46 milligrams per liter. Bacteria samples, we had a total of 57 samples were taken, and all came back absent for cholera alert. Fluoride samples were taken throughout the district, with the average being a 1.1 milligrams per liter. The NCL for fluoride is a 2.0. That's all I have. If you have any questions?
Any questions for Superintendent Sheldon? Thank you. All right. And next up is finance. Scott?
Thank you. Included in your packets tonight are the financial reports for the month ended January 31st, 2025. All things being equal, a target budget percentage for this month would be 58% of the budget. I have just a few line items to call your attention to on Schedule C, the budget to actual detail. On line 4, our bad debt expense, you'll see a figure in this line this month where it's been a 0 all year. In January, district staff did prepare write-offs for accounts older than 4 years, and those get removed from our utility tracking system after that 4-year time span. Total operating revenues on line 6 are continue to trend in line with budget, just ahead at 61%. I'll also call out line 12, reimbursed expenses. You'll see a pretty big spike here, $26,000 reported in the month of January. That is driven in most part by a reimbursement from Aqua related to the stolen generator. Repairs were done back in April of 2024, but paperwork and everything behind that, we received our reimbursement from Aqua in January. Otherwise, I'll call attention line 54, total operating expenditures. We're continue to trend very well, right near budget at 56%. And holistically too, well, you might see variance between the different departments on salaries and benefits. Holistically, total salaries and benefits for the district continues to track right on target. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Looks like we're in a pretty good place. Any questions for Scott?
None for me.
Okay. General Manager, you're up.
I just want to take this time in my management report to do anything but thank Steve Gurney. Steve, you're definitely going to be missed. I didn't want to get on the podium. I wanted to do it from here. Our talks, our road trips, our life experiences, and most importantly, our day-to-day friendship. Ryan, you've got big shoes to fill, but the district is very confident that you can fill them. and we've made the correct selection as that new mechanic. So I want to thank you guys for working these last so many months together, and Steve bringing that knowledge over to Ryan. Steve is a new grandpa, and if you didn't know it already, he will let you know after this meeting. Steve, enjoy your family, enjoy your time on vacation, relax more than you have in 40 years, and know that if you need us, we're here for you. The 20 years that you have given to this district, the 20 years that you have given to this country, you're a true testament of a man. You have taught me lessons that I will carry the rest of my life. From the board of directors, the fellow employees, we wish you a happy retirement. And please know that you can come visit us, but you can't stay too long. And please stick around after the meeting to join us, because we got Steve a cake and some extra gifts. So I just wanted to wish you well in your retirement. Thank you.
As a retiree, he's allowed to come in and help himself to coffee when he visits, right?
Exactly.
Or does he get run out?
Full coffee benefits.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Holders, right?
Yes, sir.
Any questions for the general manager? Okay, I don't mean to hurry this along, but we have a closed session that is coming up next with item 11. Hopefully the closed session won't take too long, but it is a conference call, so about 6 minutes, 7 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of the section 54956.1 case. So, with that said, I wish you all to...
Motion and second.
Oh, that's right, we do have to, thank you for that. Cindy, we need a motion to have a closed session. Who would like to make the motion?
I move.
Second?
Second?
Now maybe we have a roll call.
Not needed, you just need a motion to move and go into.
Oh, okay, so all in favor, let's go to the
Do I need
I don't
to?
want to miss the phone call.
I gotta get out the phone.
Future agenda items and staff tasks, director's comments and reports. And don't forget that there's something that you wanted to bring up.
The one I brought up earlier? Oh, I got to bring it up now? It doesn't count on the record?
That's where, you have that already? Okay.
About, yep, benefits and stuff for the other districts?
Right.
Yep.
Director Arthur, anything on the item 12 that you would like to talk about?
Nothing.
Director Woods?
What did Randy want to bring up?
A comparator on the board of directors at other districts for stipends, benefits, that sort of thing?
Right.
Director.
Right.
At other districts.
And I think Scott got it, but I said I wanted to know what the ability was to offer said benefits without the district paying it, to have the ability to either have partial pay or half pay or no pay, but the gift is you can get onto the group, whatnot. I want to
You want
investigate
healthcare-
all of those. Yes.
Individual health care benefits at the board level.
Correct. Oh.
With the buy-in, right?
No, you have yours. You wear your own. Well, sorry.
Since you've got the mic, go ahead. Do you have anything? All right, then the last item is adjournment. Your motion to adjourn?
Wait, I had something to say.
I'm sorry, go
Board
ahead.
report, it's okay. I wanted to say something to Steve. That in all of my years, 36 years of working for the school district and public service, the number one thing that we always think about is safety, and it's the one thing that we don't, or that we always talk about, like safety, but it's the one thing we never think about until it fails. And so I just want to thank you, because when I think of your position or your job, and I know there's probably a million things you do, but what I think about is you keeping safe the team members that work for this water district that are so precious. That's the precious cargo, and that's the safety aspect that you can't put a price on, and you cannot ever have too much competence, and you are over competent. You are fantastic at what you do, and you've made it so that these these people are safe, and I wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Amen.
That was it.
That was it. Yeah. So now we need a motion to adjourn.
I motion.
Adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.